I believe quality and quantity are two of the most misunderstood words, or misused words also nowadays. Because if we think of quantity and quality, most of the time we think of them as kind of the same thing. And I mean, I kind of want to anchor this on an example. So, oftentimes we say high quality, whatever, high quality computer, high quality piece of software, high quality car, whatever. So, one example is also a screen. Like a screen, we kind of think of it, or it is often termed like high quality if it is a good screen. But if we think more about this, all of the quote-unquote qualities of a screen can actually be broken down into quantities. A screen which has a high resolution is, like, we think of that as contributing to quality, but it's kind of not a quality, but a quantity, because a resolution is a countable thing, right? So a resolution is just the number of pixels on a screen. In other words, the quantity of the pixels, right? And all of the other aspects of a screen are also quantitative, because, well, I mean, this kind of goes hand in hand with the screen being an industrial product, right? So it has to be all of it has to be quantitative, because that's the only way in which industry works. So, and I mean, this point goes way further, I think, but, right? So we can't have something that is not, like, countable, because if it's not countable, it also can't be improved. So, in that sense, a screen is only quantitative, but it goes much further than this. But another point to this is that a screen in itself has no content. It's a blank screen, like literally. It can display kind of everything and anything that is within its frame. Well, and frame in this sense, I don't mean like literal frame, but I mean also, I guess, but in the sense that it can only display like digital data, like things that you can put into pixels, right? And I mean, this stuff is so obvious. Like, we think of it, we don't even think of it. And like me, like explicitly saying it out might sound a bit weird, but I think it's important to think about the things we never think about when we try to go beyond, I don't know, the normal view of the world, I guess. So, things we perceive through our senses can be said to be quantitative. And I mean, this takes it way further than the screen example, of course, but this kind of idea that we can optimize anything which is for the senses kind of shows that this is the case. Because if we think of optimization, we always think of numbers, right? We always think of quantities. So, and also another thing I want to say, I forgot on the last slide, that if we equate the kind of term of quality with like just having like high resolution, having good, I don't know, high nits, so high brightness or whatever, and all these things, if we equate that to quality, we just say, well, quality is the same thing as quantity, right? But I mean, they're two different terms, they're two different words, they mean different things. So it's really a very great reduction. And the reduction is pretty grave, because we think things that are high in quantity are actually high quality, which is not the case at all. So again, because these are different things. So, but what I wanted to say with this, things perceived through the senses, we can think of them as quantitative, because they can be kind of, in a sense, broken down into quantities. So, and I will show some more examples later on. Alright, but now we get to quality and what it actually, or what I think it means. Or at least like through my lens, you could say. So what is perceived, perceived, I spelled that wrong, perceived through the mind, quote unquote. So what is communicated in a sense, this is the quality. At least when we think of kind of things like, for example, like screens and information and stuff like that, I guess. So this is the quality. And then, like, if we define it like that, a screen has no qualities. Because it in itself doesn't communicate anything. It's just a screen. It's a blank slate. It's like a blank piece of paper, right? So it might be very high in quantities, or in quantity, it has no qualities, because it doesn't communicate anything. So, alright, so and all of this goes hand in hand with obsession over means. And I mean, I've made a video on obsession over means some time ago, and this is kind of what it boils down to, because a screen is just a very high-tech means, right? To a very, to an end that doesn't have to be very high-tech at all. So, and I mean, okay, obsession over means, so computers, free software, suckless software, this kind of stuff. I mean, we all know about this kind of stuff, right? And if we think of obsession over memes, kind of, over memes, kind of the stuff like spending hours, like rising your desktop setup or whatnot, like compiling your own kernel to be super optimized, or even installing a custom like operating system and this kind of stuff, or even rebooting your computer or whatnot. Like, we think of that, okay, it's kind of in a sense obsession, right? But if we just look at kind of modern society, we see obsession everywhere. Like cars, clothes, watches, houses, like all of like normal people obsess over means so hard. I mean, it's not even believable. Like, a car is meant to, like to move you from position A to position B, right? And there are people who spend, like, an enormous amount of money just to get, like, the perfect car. And, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it, like, kind of status and prestige and this kind of stuff, and kind of their identity, or some people's identity is kind of tied to their stuff and whatnot. I mean, of course. And all this stuff. But, yeah, so this is certainly one aspect of the modern world, which is which shows very clearly if we actually look at society as it is, or at the modern world, we could even say. So, but it also, of course, shows in computers. But I think the kind of drive in the context of computing is a very different one. And I mean, I think written and also talked about it somewhere else. But so, yeah, I don't want to get into that in this video, right? So, that's kind of obsession over means in this case. But we also have obsession and that kind of takes it back to the screen example, in like entertainment and information and ads and kind of infotainment or whatever, which kind of combines all of these. So these things are also all the time getting optimized, right? And kind of the science that kind of, gets new, I don't know, what do you want to say? The kind of science behind all of this is, of course, the modern psychology, right? But now, psychology doesn't really deal with kind of the mind or like awareness in any sense. It only deals with like the human mind as a computer, or really it deals with the human mind as if it were an animal mind. So it deals with all the things that can be perceived with the senses, really. So, and this again gets back to the slide from earlier. Like, because in the end, it all deals with quantities. It deals with your attention time span. It deals with kind of what sounds trigger, what emotions or whatnot, or what words also, what visuals, kind of all of this stuff. How the I don't know, the kind of zeitgeist, you could say, is displayed in the whatever entertainment or whatever, kind of this kind of stuff, right? What emotions are triggered. So, and I mean the means and tools of modern psychology, or really all modern sciences, are of an quantitative nature, like only. So they all deal with experiments and with statistics and with numbers, and they measure things and stuff like that. So this all goes kind of hand in hand. Alright, so this stuff is also in the realm of quantity, and this also goes very much hand in hand with the example of the screen. Because nowadays, entertainment, information, ads, all these things are predominantly displayed on screens, obviously, right? All right, now I kind of want to give how to say, maybe counter or an example that contrasts with all of what I've just said. So with the screen and kind of modern entertainment and this stuff. And that is a book. Because a book is very low in quantity. So that is to say, it is very low in like sensical stimulation, you could say. Or stimulation of the senses, rather. Right? A book is very boring. So a book doesn't move, a book doesn't make noises, a book, like, what does a book do? Nothing. It's just an object. It's a very boring object in that way. So it's very low in quantity is what I want to say. But it is very high in quality because it has potentially a lot of stuff to communicate with you. And a lot of stuff that's very important for, well, for you as the reader maybe, but also like for the world in general, or how you see the world, stuff like that. So it has a lot of stuff to communicate to kind of your consciousness, or your self-awareness, you could say, or your quote-unquote mind. Even though mind is kind of it's a kind of, I think, a term that's very much tied to like modern psychology, I guess. So maybe spirit would be a better way to put it. But that is very much tied to modern, like, New Age spirituality, I guess. So, yeah, pick your poison. But I hope you get what I mean. And the same is the case with this video, if we kind of want to take it on a meta level. So this video is very boring in like visual spectacle, but it communicates something that is a bit more complex than the average video. Let's just put it like that. So I hope you know what I mean, right? So this is what I kind of think is the contrast between quantity and quality. And I think the example of book versus the example of a screen very much signifies that. So a screen, just to like summarize, a screen doesn't display like anything. It can display everything. But a book can only like display one thing because it's a printed book. Like it doesn't change. It can't be changed. It is what it is. So it's fixed in that sense. But it's fixed in the sense that this fixation gives it qualities, the qualities of this book in particular, right? While the non-fixation, you could say, of the screen kind of removes these qualities. It can display everything. So yeah, I hope you know what I mean. All right, and what this all boils down to is that the modern age is without quality. This is what it boils down to if we think things through to the end. So this has to do with everything being industrial, of course. But it goes way further than this. So, and I mean, I don't want to kind of, I mean, this video would be very long, I guess, if I were to talk more about this in like detail, but this is kind of I think the only conclusion we can come to. So yeah, these were some of my thoughts on quality and quantity. And yeah, that's it. Have a nice day.